we doing?
Jimmie, after reviewing the film of the Illinois game or the bye week, what are some of the things that stood out to you?
Feels like it was a long time ago. But no, I thought there were some really good things in that game. Obviously, in the situations, we were really good. We were really good on third down, really good in the red zone. Thought DeMond did a great job, taking care of the ball for the most part, not putting the ball in harm's way, very efficient in the passing game. And then, something we had talked about for weeks was kind of getting that running game going. And it was good to get some explosives, with Jonah and just kind of get that rhythm going back in the running game. Obviously, having Carver and John was a big part of that. And the other guys did good, too, when they got their chances to come in, kind of the rotation of the O-line. But I thought those guys played very physical. I thought we got that thing going, and there were some good things from that game.
In a game like this, where it looks like there might be some weather plus coming off the bye week, how do you guys keep that momentum going?
Yeah, I think we had a great bye week. We had a great week of practice, and kids worked really hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then got some time off and got to get fresh and get even more healthy in certain areas and whatnot. But so sometimes it's good to get away, and then they came back, had a great practice on Sunday, and looking forward to the challenge. Going into Madison, it's always going to be an atmosphere you got to be ready for. Just with whether it be the crowd, the atmosphere around it. Or also going to play in Wisconsin in mid-November. That's always going to be something you got to be aware of. But, we do a good job of making sure we are able to practice in the conditions that are here, meaning weather, inclement weather, whatever it might be, the rain, the wind, whatever it is, doing a good job of making sure that we get that time outside. And if we don't, trying to create those situations with wet ball drills and things like that of that nature, if we have to create it from us. So, everything gets looked at, whether it be noise, whether it be weather, whether it be whatever it might be, any situation that we're trying to go into, we try to replicate that for the players so there's nothing new on game day.
What do Carver and John bring, or what's different about having them in there?
Yeah, those guys are just obviously very talented guys. They're very skilled, very physical, very strong, move well, do all the things that you want from a offensive lineman. And I think more than anything, too, they also bring an attitude. They bring a confidence and a swagger to that unit. And that unit is always one where if they're playing well, they're connected, and one or two guys can really have an effect on the psyche of the whole group, and I think those kids do that and some. So it was great having them back. But like I said, the other guys, I thought they did a good job, too, of coming in and spelling those guys at times. And the more guys you can have playing up front and play at a high level is good. But I think that's the difference that those two kids bring, to the offense.
Did you have them on a play count, and how did they come out of that game?
Yeah, they came out great. Yeah, we did. It was something we were monitoring in terms of, making sure we didn't overload them. We knew they weren't going to play the whole game. So we had a plan in place. Coach Switzer and Coach Fish and all the coaches talked about it in terms of how many snaps we wanted those guys to get, and had a nice rotation. Had a nice rotation as the game went on. There were some times they were together. There was other times where one of them was in, the other one was out. Had to be pretty on top of it in terms of the planning with that. And I thought we did a great job of executing it, and they came out of the game great, feeling healthy and ready to roll.
When you get a knee injury and a foot injury, I guess is what those guys had, what do they have to do to show that they can get back in on the field?
There's a whole list of things that they have to do with the trainers to make them feel comfortable to put those guys back out there. But it also goes back to really how hard they work at it and what their pain tolerance is and how much they are willing to go back out there and want to play in the game. And both those kids were like, we had to hold them back. Like they couldn't wait to get back out there and play for us. And it had been building for weeks. And they were back ahead of schedule, of what you would typically see. And it's a testament to them. It's a testament to the trainers, all the people that played a part in it, but mostly to them, to how hard they worked at the rehab and then were willing and tough enough to say, I'm going out there and I'm playing. And it was great to have those guys back.
Have you guys learned anything? Obviously, Carver had a reputation before he came here. What have you learned about him since he's been here? Is there anything you guys didn't know that he had?
No, everything that we've seen from Carver has been fantastic. He's everything that you want in an offensive lineman. He's, as I said, he's very skilled. He's got all the things that you look for in terms of the toughness, the power, the quickness, whatever it might be. But the thing that you also don't know until you really get to know the guy is how tough he is, how smart he is, just how he's able to influence the entire unit, not just the offensive line, but the confidence, really, the whole offense and the whole team. So that part's all been, it's just a great addition for our team, for our offense and team.
What did it say maybe about your O-line depth that you guys were able to lose them? And, there was obviously a little bit of a difference, but this isn't the kind of loss you guys could have absorbed last year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's something that we talked about, really in camp and throughout, about how much better we felt, with the numbers. The fact that we didn't have, when we first got here, we had 7 healthy offensive linemen. I mean, it was pretty crazy. But that was something we had talked about and really were intentional about, knowing that we had to fix that part of it and making sure that we had those bodies ready to go. And they've just continued to get better and continued to develop and be coached. And it's not a finished product, but they continue to keep getting better every week. And it's something we're excited about to keep adding to.
What have you seen from the Wisconsin defensive tape? That is something you guys are going to have to, or a couple things you're going to have to keep an eye on.
I mean, it's a good unit. It's a good unit. You watch them on tape, and you watch the last time they were out there against Oregon. I mean, played very hard, physical team, physical group of guys. They got defensive ends that can pose a problem, very athletic and great pass rushers, but also can play the run, tough and physical, which you expect out of a Wisconsin defense. Linebackers, same thing. And they've had some injuries across the board, different guys you see on tape every week, but you watch the linebackers, 2 young kids in that Oregon game, and physical, fast, athletic kids that are something we have to pay attention to and be ready for. So across the board, we expect them to play incredibly hard, especially being back at home, and it's a challenge that we got to be ready for.
What did from the Michigan loss? I mean, it's another game in a tough environment in Madison. What did you make of your offensive operation in Ann Arbor, and any adjustments that you'll be looking to make in another tough environment in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go on the road, in this conference, you got to be ready for the noise and the things that those atmospheres can bring to you. So just making sure, like, today we're going to crank up the noise and make sure that we're clean in terms of our snap counts and being able to get off all at the same time with the offensive line and really getting a nice rhythm with that. That's the biggest thing you always have to prepare for some of these environments on the road. And then just going out there and just, really executing at a high level. It really always comes back to that, not getting influenced by the outside circumstances. Wisconsin's good enough. We got to go out and execute against them and do a good job of blocking them and getting open and throwing the ball and all the things that it takes to win. Trying not to let some of the outside things influence us as best we can.
Is that it for Coach?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmie.
Thanks.
How we doing?
Ryan, all of the week before Illinois, you guys talked about how important it was to force turnovers. What was it like to see your defense respond? I mean, you got 2, might have almost had 4 if there were some penalties, but what was it like to see them have that response?
Yeah, it was good to see. Obviously it's been a point of emphasis. It was good to see us catch the ball, attack the football. There were also a lot of strip attempts in the run game. So hopefully we start getting those too. So just got to keep emphasizing it. Obviously, the turnover margin is always a true sign of, winning percentage in games. And so anytime you're able to take the ball away and be on the right side of the turnover margin, it's a plus.
When you look at your linebackers, you got one in knee surgery recovery, and you got Jacob Manu going through paperwork, but you got these other 3 guys that are playing quite a bit. And at one point, if you're lucky, you're going to have all 5 competing at once. I haven't really seen that kind of linebacker depth here in quite a while. Have you allowed yourself to think about that when you have all 5 of those guys kind of knocking heads?
Not right now. The focus has been on Wisconsin and who we have available Trying to forecast for the future gets your mind distracted from the task at hand. But I'm pleased with the way that they're playing, and I think Coach Odom's done a great job of getting all those guys ready when they've been available. And I'm glad that they're all on our team.
Ryan, Jed mentioned to us yesterday that Wisconsin, they're dealing with a quarterback injury and might have multiple guys that they're considering to start. How tough is it to game plan when you don't have a good idea of who might be out there and what their complete skill set might be if there's not a lot on tape?
Yeah, it can be challenging when you don't know who's going to be out there or what style of play. They're going to emphasize on game day. We'll just have to adjust. Wisconsin's a good team. They've got a great scheme. They've played some really good teams. I don't think their record is indicative of how good a football team this is. You talk about playing against Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan and Iowa. Like, those are all really good teams. Oregon. And so, we definitely the challenge is real. And, I've been to Madison and, been on the away team in that stadium, and it's a tough environment. So regardless of who's at quarterback, we'll have to execute at a high level.
Tape from Ty's second roughing the quarterback penalty of the season, that kind of definitely impacted the game a little bit. Is there any Coach Fish said after the first one that you guys wouldn't have coached it any different. On this one, that from the Illinois game, did you see anything that you guys could have coached maybe a little different?
Yeah, just his target angle's got to get lower. I don't think obviously it wasn't a malicious hit, but by the letter of the law, if you are up around the head area and touch the quarterback at all in that vicinity, it's you're going to get flagged. And so that's been the point of emphasis. When you're around the quarterback, just to keep it chest down, chest to waist, so that you're not getting those penalties.
Zaydrius Rainey-Sale had a very impactful game, especially for a true freshman coming off injury. What have you been most impressed with after watching the Illinois game?
Yeah, just his retention and his ability at his age with the limited amount of reps that he's had to handle install week to week, to go execute it on game day. He's another guy. He almost had an interception as well, and he's got great ball skills. So I'm happy that happened now. When we won the game, so he'll continue to improve, continue to make strides. He does week to week, practice to practice. He's going to be a really good player for us.
You were able to take some time during the bye to really do some fundamental stuff. How important is that for a guy like Zay, who again has just been limited because of his injury status?
Yeah, it's huge. We got a lot of really good work in the bye week. Coupled with allowing them to rest and recover to go on this 4-game stretch. So I think it was huge for everybody. But obviously a guy that's starting to play a lot and is coming off of an injury and is a true freshman. Those reps are critical.
How did you go about evaluating this freshman class that signed here before you were the defensive coordinator and everything, and trying to figure out even before they practiced what you had, who might be able to play right away? And I'm curious, what your very early impressions were of Zaydrius, even though he was hurt and wasn't able to practice with you guys.
Yeah, you knew about him coming out just because of he's a high-profile recruit. When he walks in the door, he looks the part. He looks like a Big Ten linebacker. And then when he was cleared to start running, that's when you kind of saw wow, he's twitched up. He can really run. He can really change direction. But as far as evaluating whether or not he was going to help us, that didn't really come until he was cleared to play and put pads on, and you put him out there in 11-on-11 situations and 7-on-7 and start seeing him compete and the way he kind of goes about his business. And again, the as athletic as he is, the most impressive piece to me was just the retention and the recall and being able to translate what we're teaching on the board or on film to in-game scenarios in practice. And so, like I said, I can't speak highly enough of him. I'm happy he's here, and he's gonna have a great career here.
He caused an interception and his timing was kind of incredible, the way he hit the guy and hit him just right, didn't get flagged. But I thought it was extraordinary that he was 25 yards downfield making a play like that. I mean, I know you're supposed to go wherever you can on the field, but I don't see too many linebackers in a 25-yard coverage range. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, but that sort of also by design on the call and the down and distance. Like, it was a 3rd and longer. So, the point of emphasis with that call and what the offense was presenting based on film study, it was designed for him to be out in the flat and try to get underneath that route. And he executed it, at a high level. Obviously, he got there right on time and was able to jar that ball loose and pop it up for Bobo to get that pick.
Coach, Rylan Dillard-Allen has seen his reps increase a little bit, and he seems to bring kind of an attitude, and it kind of reminds me of Devin Weatherspoon a little bit. Different positions, obviously, but do you kind of see that in him as well?
Yeah, he's a dog. He's obviously he's still a true freshman and needs the weight room. The offseason will be big for him. To maximize his potential. But, you talk about a guy that seeks out contact, that is not afraid to pull the trigger and doesn't hesitate when he sees his key and reacts fast. He's got the confidence to do that, and that's what you want in everybody on defense. Spoon definitely had that in him from the day I stepped on campus at Illinois. So definitely bodes well for him and his mental makeup that will allow him to be a great player here.
When did you know that he was going to be such a big contributor for you guys this year?
Man, I just kind of as the fall camp went, he flashed in the springtime, and then another younger guy that studies, like, he's always up in Coach Mays' office. He's always watching extra film. Like, he wants to be a good player, and usually guys that are athletic that want to be good players turn out to be good players. And so, his reps have reflected his execution in practice, and so the more he executes, the more reps he'll get. He's electric when he's on the field and always finds a way to be around the ball and make plays.
You mentioned with the linebackers, Coach Odom, you guys have a relationship that goes back a long time, but what's it like working with him on staff this year, and what does he bring to that group, with all his experience?
Yeah, it's been fun for me to see his growth as a coach. When I was with him at Missouri, that was his first full-time job, and I knew he was going to be good because he works tirelessly, and whatever you ask him to do, he does, and dots every I, crosses every T, and cross-checks his work, so he wants to be perfect. So now we've had this time apart, and you've kind of seen him grow as a coach. So what that looks like now is coming up with ideas, trying to find problems within the scheme to address and to make sure that we're not living in the gray and that it's black and white, and we can come up with answers for problematic plays depending on the scheme that's called. And he works tirelessly with his group to make sure that they're prepared, and they are. And so it's been fun to see his maturation, and really glad that we were able to link up again, and he's been doing a hell of a job.
All right, all set?
Cool.
Thank you, Coach. John Mills, I'd like to know about your fan club, those guys that showed up in wigs and things like that. How did that come about? Where did they come from?
They came from my dad and grandparents. So those were all my dad and his buddies.
I don't think anybody's had a fan club here since Sunny Six Killer maybe 50 years ago.
For both of you guys, how did it feel to get back on the field after laying off a couple of weeks each?
It felt great. I mean, I know I was out for only 2 games, but it felt very long. But I loved it. I mean, I just being back there with Carver, we were talking about it like we were always in that training room together, just working, trying to get back as soon as possible. And it was great back being on the field with him as well.
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, we both worked very hard to get back on the field, and in a pretty rushed but appropriate manner. Like he said, we did spend a lot of time doing extra training together, extra treatment, all that kind of stuff to get back as soon as we could. And to be able to play on Saturday and feel like you made an impact is always nice. So it was great to be back.
Did you ever get hurt at Kansas State and have to sit out?
Besides concussions, no. This was actually the first time in my life I didn't finish the game. So that was new for me.
Saw the play, obviously, but I mean, what did that feel like for you? What did you think happened when it happened, and when did you start to get an idea of what the timeline would be for when you could get back?
So I tore my MCL completely, and so I kind of felt it pop on the play. Obviously, I've been rolled up on before, but I'd never really felt like a sharp pop. And even on the field, when the trainers came out, I was like, hey, I felt a pop, like I know something's torn, like I know something's not right. They tried to do some testing, but I asked them if we could do it on the sideline because I didn't really want to stay down on the field for too long. I made a point to walk off under my own power just because, I don't know, that was just a thing. And then we tested at halftime, and they're like, we think you tore your MCL, but they sat there and they were like, it's very promising. We don't think you tore your ACL. So I said, cool. And then I went and got one of our strength coaches and I did some pass blocking drills and run blocking drills and tried to let him show that I could go back in after half. And it became pretty clear after that the decision was not up to me, which I'm grateful for because they certainly had my best interests at heart. There was no reason for me to try and go back and play on a freshly torn MCL. So, but yeah, right after that, they're like, hey, timeline, they wouldn't tell me an official timeline just because they didn't want me to reach for something or get disappointed. But they said most guys come back probably roughly 4 to 6 weeks, more leaning towards the 6. And I told them I was going to be back by Illinois and worked really hard, and that's what happened. So I came back in about 3.5.
When did you start to feel like you were getting close?
Things were progressing quickly, and I wasn't having many setbacks. They kind of expected me to have setbacks that just didn't come up, which is a blessing and a miracle, and I'm incredibly thankful for. But that right after the Michigan game, actually the most painful day kind of for it, besides when it was freshly torn, was that Michigan game. I don't know if it was the travel or what it was on the sidelines, but it was really hurting that day. But then after that, everything just progressed really smoothly, and so the doctors were like, okay, yeah, he actually is good to go. So
what was the big thing you did to come back? What kind of exercises? You pushing weight or what?
You more have to ask our trainers on that. They killed it. They did an incredible job. I cannot speak highly enough about them. What they helped me do on paper shouldn't technically really be that possible, but it was. They had me in there doing stuff just all kinds of stuff, mostly mobility, and then a lot of stuff and strength in position stuff. So it wasn't a whole lot of heavy weightlifting as much it was hey, we're gonna go do pass sets, run blocking stuff, add weight, add punches. John did a lot of it too.
Yep.
A lot of work with Ben, our hand fighting specialist, all that kind of stuff to be hey, where's your quickness, where's your strength, all that in game relativity, because being able to squat 500 pounds doesn't really translate to O-line as much as people think it does. And so, no, I mostly worked with Tom and Leah, and they did an incredible job, and I cannot speak highly enough about them and their help in that process.
Did you notice it at all, during the Illinois game? Did it bother you any coming out of it, or?
No, there's a multitude of factors to that, though. But no, not really. adrenaline and Toradol are a good mix. So.
John, I guess similar question. I mean, you go down on the field at Maryland, like what are you thinking, and at what point were you starting to think about what game you could go out for?
Well, during that Maryland game, I felt it like immediately, and I felt I've like rolled my ankle a lot before, and as a kid, and like it was different because this one was the opposite way. It went inward, and it was pretty painful. Yeah. But I was glad, like nothing. My knee felt super good, like nothing was wrong with that. So I was very grateful, and I was just walking off. Like I walked to the training room of Maryland. So I was walking. It felt not super good, but I mean we made it work. So I'm glad. Yeah.
John, just to confirm, you turned 18 just a few days ago, is that right?
Yes, sir. Like October 16th.
So, Carver, back to you.
Yeah.
Could you ever have imagined starting at 17 years
No.
old, your very first college football game? How impressive is what you're seeing this guy do?
Oh, it's insane. I got to college at 17.
Did you start your first game?
No, I played as a true freshman, and that was enough for me. Now, granted, I wasn't quite as big. I told John I played in my first game as a true freshman at 265, so a little bit genetic difference in that. But no, it's insane. I always kind of describe my freshman year as like playing as a true freshman is kind of like trying to get a drink from a fire hose, and you're just like you have no idea what's going on. At least I didn't. He obviously does. It's incredible. I mean, he should be going into a senior year of high school, and he's starting in the Big Ten. And not only is he starting in the Big Ten, he's a pretty dominant factor on our team. So it's it's wild. I don't really know how else to describe it.
John, how much do you weigh now, and how did you celebrate your 18th birthday?
Well, I celebrated my 18th birthday by traveling to Michigan, so that was fun. Just traveled there, but I got dinner with my grandparents a couple days before that. A big steak, it was really good. And then I weigh still around like that 340 mark, so still around there.
So, John, you mentioned it was the ankle. So, it was high ankle sprain. Is that kind of
Yes,
what
sir.
it was?
Yep.
You left that Maryland game. You guys were losing. Obviously, they come back, but you're in the training room. What was the emotions of, maybe going through that first injury plus everything going on with the game?
I mean, literally, I'm pretty sure as I'm walking out, or maybe no, as I'm walking out of the training room, like Denzel scores or something. So I was getting hyped. Like, I mean, sure, I knew nothing was too bad because I just was told moments before that nothing's broken, so I wasn't worried too much. And I come back and we're scoring, and it got me excited. And I just wanted to go support on the sideline and just help get a win somehow. So.
Carver, you played right tackle at Kansas State. You moved to the left side. What's been the biggest hurdle for you or trouble for you moving from right to left? Because not a lot of guys can do that kind of stuff because it's completely the opposite sets.
Yeah, it is completely different. The biggest thing for me was I'm very like technique oriented. I like to have all that kind of stuff kind of dialed. So everything I had really, really dialed in for the last 4 or 5 years at K-State had to change. And so for me, it was like just one of the biggest things was reps. Obviously went down and worked with my trainers in Arizona. They did a great job kind of helping me get my stance dialed in, getting all that figured out. But it took reps. And so spring ball was huge. And then spring ball kind of gave me the diagnosis of what I needed to work on. And then it was kind of up to me and the coaches here and my trainers in Arizona to fix that before season. So the thing really was just like, although like the stance is different, the technique feels kind of different, and you tweak and adjust it and do all that, it was really just time and reps, and that takes just dedication to get done.
One of the things that you told us during spring ball as you were making that transition from right tackle to left tackle was that, you talked about your biomechanics, and there was going to be a point where it clicked. When did that happen for you? Did it happen over the summer, during fall camp, maybe in a game?
It really helped when I went down to my trainers in the summer a little bit. They helped a ton, but I'd say 5th practice of fall camp is when I was like, okay, like I noticed I felt comfortable, and that was pretty new. So I wasn't out there like really stressing about practice, being like, holy cow, like I need to work on this, and I need to work on this, and I need to work on this. It was more like, okay, we can do more like pinpointing stuff instead of overall. And it felt comfortable that first week of fall camp.
You mentioned going to Arizona after spring ball to work on some things. What were those things that you really wanted to work on with those trainers?
Yeah, so the main thing was just stance, because for some reason I just couldn't get it figured out. I couldn't figure out why whenever I was taking like pass sets, every time I was opening my hips, like my feet felt sluggish, and the kind of conclusion they came to, and they did it pretty fast, which was kind of embarrassing. So I showed up, they're like, dude, you're way too wide. Like, you're just wide, and you're starting wide and ending wider. Like, that doesn't work. And so we kind of had to tighten my stance up and kind of tighten up my hips and make sure they were all in line. And once that worked, it helped tremendously.
John, I just got a text from the owner of San Juan Seltzer, told me to ask you who your favorite uncle is.
Kyle Linger.
John, playing next to Carver, who, obviously very, very fundamentally sound, loves to work on technique. What are some of the things that you've been able to take away from him?
Really, just knowing the play and really knowing, like, diving deeper into the play, really just seeing things like the formations on the defense, understanding if one dude's going, like if the stacker's back, or the backer's stacked, we got to be just tighter on a B. Like, we had one the other day, I was just too loose on it, and we were just really over the course of the practice, like, we just kept on working and just getting better. And I'm just knowing, like, everything, football IQ, just learn from him. He's been in this game for probably, like, college football 10 to 15 years right now. So, yeah, I'm just getting better with him.
Is he encouraging you to be a left tackle someday? I know Jed Fish has dropped that hint that you could be, and that's the so-called NFL money position. Is that been in discussion with you?
Really, we're just focused on this week, really just trying to beat Wisconsin, so, yeah.
Okay.
John, what was it like to have Carver, with you going through this rehab process together?
It felt good, kind of, because, like, someone else was in there. Obviously, it's just a different position. This is my first year. This is sixth year, actually. So, he's ready to go to the NFL. I'm just trying to get back as soon as possible. But seeing just how we both were grinding, it gave me some motivation to go out there and just keep getting better so we can get back, and we did. So I'm very glad.
For both you guys, it looks like maybe some inclement weather in Wisconsin. In the trenches, do you guys feed off that a little bit? Do you look forward to that? Maybe a more physical, grimier, grittier game?
Definitely, yeah, 100%, 100%.
How do you mentally prepare for playing weather like that?
Honestly, I'd say it's kind of easier. More pressure is going to be put on you, but it's also, like, more fun. Like, the more your team relies on you, I think that's kind of what, like, O-line's about. Like, cool, put it on us, we'll handle it. That's awesome. So you get more excited about, like, we're going to run the ball. Like, heck yeah. Like, that's going to be us. We'll manage that. So I don't know if it's, like, getting mentally prepared as much as it is controlling excitement.
Yeah, he put it pretty well. Like, gets me excited, gets me hyped, so it's just got to go win.
All right, we're good with these two guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're good.
Go ahead, please.
Rylan, how'd you get your nickname?
Batman.
Yeah.
So I got a track coach growing up. I used to be a long jumper, and he used to say like the only superhero that really glides per se is Batman. So he used to call me Batman, and then the nickname faded away because that was like when I was like 6 or 7, and the nickname faded away. And then when I got to high school, he popped back up, and then started calling me Batman again. And then all my teammates started picking up on it, and then all my community started picking up on it, and then the newspaper, next thing I know, like newspaper and articles calling me Batman, and then now like it's Batman.
I saw you on a recruiting visit dressed as Batman. Is that the farthest you've taken this as far as costumes and stuff like that?
Nah, I used to run out the tunnel in high school with the cape on and with the mask on and stuff like that. So.
When did you first know that you liked hitting people, that you wanted to play defense?
Oh, so my freshman year of high school, my freshman year of high school, I started on varsity as a receiver, and that wasn't really fun, cause I played defense like almost my entire life, and then so once I got to high school, they tried to make me play receiver, and that just wasn't that fun to me. And then I got a new head coach my sophomore year, and then he was like, we're not gonna have guys going both ways, so I'm gonna need you to just choose the side of the ball, and I chose defense.
Do you have a preference between Batman or RDA?
Nah.
Zaydrius, what game did you tear your knee up last year in your senior year?
It was my last game to play into the playoffs against Curtis High School.
And so when you got here, you knew you weren't going to have a long rehab and everything like that. But did the staff come up with a plan for you? Did you consult with them and all that different stuff?
Yeah, of course. I talked with the trainers, and they gave me like just a workout sheet every week, a new one, and I just kept on doing it consistently, and we're here now. So yeah.
You committed to the previous coaching staff here too. Just once Coach Fish and his staff got here and started recruiting you again, what did you kind of need to hear from them? What was it about their plan and everything that made you come back to Washington?
Well, like I met with the strength conditioning coach, T.O. I feel like he broke everything down to me, like from a physical aspect, very well. And Coach Fish with just playing freshmen, and I feel like that's what really got me here. It's like I wanted to play early.
How much did staying close to home impact your decision as well?
It was good. It was a big factor for sure. Just having my family at the games, but I really just wanted to play. So yeah.
For a guy who just wanted to play, what was the first couple weeks like when you weren't able to, and then how did it feel to get on the field for the first time?
It was cool. It was good. Like I knew, like I wasn't meant to be on the sideline. I felt like I just had, like I was eager. I was just hungry to come back. So yeah.
Did you get back like sooner than you were hoping, or later than you were hoping, or were you thinking about a certain game?
I was really thinking in Ohio State. I was like, that's what they told me. So I was really just focused on that.
Your last high school game to be back at midseason the following year is pretty quick.
Yeah. To me, it felt fast. Like especially like having my days full. So yeah.
Because a lot of guys probably would have redshirted just to go through it all.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't like really in my plan.
What was it? I mean, once you finally, are able to play and you get out there in a college game, just what were your impressions of the speed of it, and what was it like compared to playing in high school?
It's for sure different. I would say like with your preparation, the games become slower. So I would say just preparing well made the game slower for me. So yeah, it wasn't as fast as I thought it was gonna be, but it was good.
Rylan, you got kind of a reputation as a tough guy, and had a few skirmishes here and there. I remember spring ball or fall camp, and even against Illinois. Could you talk about just your approach?
My bad. I don't really understand what you're asking.
Well, some safeties have a reputation for being tough guys and not going to take anything from anybody, and we'll get into push and a shove or whatever. But and you seem to have developed. Ryan Walters was even talking about that he thinks it's great.
Like the image of me being a tough guy, like I don't really know how to go about it, cause like I don't want to be seen as that, but like cause all of that is just like selfishness and undisciplined activities and stuff like that. Like all the skirmishes in the spring, like I wasn't proud of that. I wasn't proud of the flag that I got against Illinois, so that's just stuff I got to work on. But I just got to keep the toughness in between the whistles.
Googled Kenny easily.
So, Rylan, what's been the toughest part of the transition from high school ball to now getting reps on a Big Ten team as a true freshman? What has been the biggest thing for you?
I would say the biggest thing is like technique. Like in the secondary, I feel like everything is technique and knowing where your help is and just being prepared, like Zay said. Like in high school, like I'll go out to corner on the best receiver if the best receiver is giving us problems. Like now, like I'm a safety. Like they don't want to put me out there on the best receiver. So if we call a blitz or something and I got to go out there and guard the best receiver, I got to know, like that's where my preparation come in, knowing where he at on the field, what route can I get and stuff like that. So I would probably say what Zay said, like the preparation and stuff like that.
What has Coach Walters talked to you about? I mean, just what role he sees you playing in this defense, not just this year, but kind of going forward?
I would say like Coach Walters, like he talks to me all the time because like he just tells me like how like the abilities that I'm blessed with, like the speed and the physicality, and he just tells me I need to just keep building my body and I could do whatever I want to do.
You play a lot as that kind of third safety, a lot of time with Mikel and Alex out there. What are the responsibilities of that role specifically, and what are they asking you to do?
When I'm out there with Kels and Alex, is typically against 12 personnel, and we just putting another safety body on a tight end body, pretty much.
Is it different from a nickelback in some ways?
I would say so. It's just more physical and interior gap-wise.
Zaydrius, how do you feel like this Ryan Walters defense just amplifies your versatility where you played inside linebacker, outside linebacker at the high school level? It feels like that's a big part of the plan for you continuing forward in your college career as well.
I feel like Coach Walters' defense, like you said, fits my gameplay, and I just follow what he tells me to do.
Zay, could you walk us through the hit you made to cause the Tacario's interception?
I just seen a condensed bunch, and I knew one of them was gonna come flat, or one was gonna go like kind of deeper. So I just had to play in between, and I seen the quarterback's eyes looking at the deeper one because it was 3rd and 20, and I just played it well. Yeah.
When you hit the guy, you weren't even looking at the pass coming in, but you seemed to time it perfect. Were we just looking at the receiver reaching for it?
I was taught like when you see their eyes get big, that's how you know the ball's coming. So, and I just seen it jump and hit him in the air.
How much does this defensive scheme ask you to play coverage like that?
A lot, I would say. We got help everywhere though, so I would say a lot. But we got help from our edges, our safeties, so there's help all over the field for us.
All right. All right, fellas, thank you very much for your time.